This is an action-packed adventure story, The Monster Man by Edgar Rice Burroughs. I had tremendously fun reading it, but I found it also a little bit upsetting. Hi, I'm Annie, and it is April. This means it is Giant Ape-Ril, and this is a reading event that is hosted by Roy over at Roy Reads Anything and co-hosted by Duncan over at Back Away from the Donkey and co-hosted by me as well. And this is all about the reading of giant ape related fiction and non-fiction. Think of course King Kong, but also Bigfoot and the Yeti. But you can also read about other giant monsters as well, like for example Godzilla. So I read The Monster Man by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Now you say this is The Monster Man, so it doesn't contain any huge apes or anything. But I read that Monster Man, I think it was Monster Man number 3, looks more like an orangutan than like a human, so I think this counts for Giant Ape-Ril. So I have a little bit of leeway. The Monster Man is the ancient warning against men. Well, they were mostly men in the past who wanted to play God and create humans. Like Frankenstein's monster, the Monster Men created by mad scientist Maxon struggle with the fact that they don't belong in the human world, but they also don't belong in the animal kingdom. But I think the difference is that Victor Frankenstein, who created his monster, he created him because he wanted to know about the secret between the secret of life and death. Professor Maxim wanted to create some kind of Superman. Not only a physical Superman, but also with one with a brilliant brain. What's so interesting about the Monster Man is the question whether these creatures have souls. They are made by a human, so they lack souls. But they act like animals and sometimes like humans as well, and they think and they worry about the facts that they don't belong in this world. Doesn't that make them equal to at least animals, if not humans? This novel doesn't give a clear answer to that, but it is an interesting thing what I wonder about. If you have read the Monster Man and you have more knowledge about this than me, let me know in the comments below. Anyway, monster number 13 states that even without a soul, he is most definitely going to do his best to act like a human, to act like he has a soul. His desire to become a human is so great that he doesn't think of anything else. I think it's a little bit of a pity that there are some racial stereotypes in this novel, but Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote it in 1913, and in that was a time where colonialism was still a prominent feature in global politics. There were signs of decline, but not in Borneo, where this story takes place. As far as I know, anyway. So this can explain these stereotypes, as people tended to be more nationalistic in comparison to nowadays. But the big villain in The Monster Man isn't a native, it is a German. I don't know what Burroughs thought about Germans, but I think in 1913 most Americans didn't really think negatively about the Germans. This may have changed in 1914 as the First World War was started. But the story is partially set in England with an English protagonist. Tensions were definitely high in Europe in 1913, and Great Britain had some sort of arms race with Germany concerning the navy. So, although there was a lot of admiration for Germany's economic and industrial powers, there were definitely some concern about Germany's military strength and ambitions for expansion. Maybe this is why Burroughs made him German. I don't know. So what upset me about The Monster Man? Well, Professor Maxon has a daughter, and Burroughs never writes how old she is. In one of the first chapters, she's still playing with dolls, and I know it's 1913, so let's say she's taught at home, and children became later adults than nowadays. So what makes her, how old does that make her? Well, I think 14, 15 tops, I guess. A couple of days, 1 month tops, I estimate. Later, she and her father go to Borneo. On the way to the train, it could have been a coach, I don't remember exactly. Anyway, two men see them, and one comments, "Ooh, that's a beauty. Who is she?" And the other man says, "Well, I am going to find out. I don't know, but I'm going to find out." And it's from a distance. They see her from a distance, probably. I don't know. And children didn't have children's clothing like nowadays. They wore just adult clothes, but in a smaller size. So maybe she could have looked like more of an adult than an early teenager. I don't know. But later in the story, in Borneo, the professor goes on with his experiments, and he creates 13 men. Burroughs doesn't specify how much time it takes him to make these 13 men, but I guess it at least it has to be 6 years, but it feels a lot less like the pacing of the story and how the story is written. So I feel upset when Maxon talks about marrying off his daughter. It feels like he's going to marry off this child. And I know Burroughs writes in the story that she behaves more like an adult than how in comparison in how old she is for her age, and she does adult things. So yeah. Normally, I wouldn't be upset about it and think, well, these were times, things were different. You have to see it in historical perspective. But I found it upsetting because years ago, and I can still see in the images, I did see a news item in a news program where a child of about 7 was sold to a 60-year-old man. And I know somebody said to me, well, that's staged. If this is filmed by a film crew, then this must be staged because otherwise the film crew would have done something. So this is staged. Well, this could be the case. I have no knowledge of that, but I am absolutely convinced that the fear of the child was real. If this was set in scene, the child didn't know about it and the fear was absolutely real. I am convinced of that. And I thought these images, they were just heartbreaking. That's why this scene in this book upset me. But if I hadn't seen this news item, then it would have probably, it would have been more abstract to me, and I wouldn't be that bothered by it. And like I say, the Monster Man, it's fiction. But I get sidetracked. This was my first Edgar Rice Burroughs novel, and I really liked his writing style very much. Yes, I don't agree with the racial stereotypes and the lusting after a minor girl, but that's what you probably mostly get when you read fiction about that was written before 1945. I think morals were different. Life was in general different, I think. But if you know of any novels, short stories, or whatever that don't have these things in them, and they are the lesser known novels, short stories, and such, do let me know in the comments, because I do love to read about them. As always, thanks for watching.